GDC is oversaturated with a glut of mobile games marketing. The kind of stuff that isn't exactly respectable business practices. The kind of stuff that doesn't interest neither you, nor I, nor the financial responsibility of their customers. It's harder to find decent games on mobile, but I was surprised to find myself kinda excited about at least one mobile game on the show floor.
So my name is Kepla Awai. I own Cat Games. We're a company that started making games 5 or 6 years ago, and before that we had no game experience whatsoever. So Wayward Souls is procedurally generated levels, 6 different characters, all with a different playstyle. It's super difficult, and it's on iOS. Oh man, there's 15 different areas that you can fight through, and they have 2 to 3 different tile sets. That for starters, every different area has different monster types, either 4 to 6 different monster types. So it runs out to about 100 different monsters, and most of those monsters have different attack patterns and different moves, and it's a huge bloated game.
I wouldn't expect someone to try to adapt the cathartic, never-ending, time-sinking ego boost of Dark Souls to a mobile platform, but someone's doing it, and it kinda works. Wayward Souls is highly difficult. Its combat depends on timing and positioning, and there's also a light permadeath mechanic to it. There are diverse and eventually powerful character upgrades, but they only apply for that session. But one session can still unlock extra classes that will be available the next time you load it up.
I think people are getting tired of being talked down to by a lot of games, like games where you move in one direction and there's constant checkpointing, and they're just dumb games. People want a challenge, it turns out. It's kind of fun to have, like, in a game, your actions actually matter instead of just mashing buttons and then stuff dies.
Of course, high difficulty and twitchy combat does kinda have to be tied to a reliable control scheme, and that's where the game implements one of its more practical tricks. Your left thumb controls movement via the direction you first begin to move that thumb in, rather than snapping back to some central pivot point to a joystick that doesn't exist. It's like activating the typical touchscreen joystick anywhere your thumb happens to land. This way, your thumbs can wander as far across the screen as you want, and it'll still be registering accurate movements. I had a harder time adjusting to the timing of some swipe-activated moves with the right thumb, and for this reason you might be more interested in the eventual controller support or the PC release.
So how much is Wayward Souls going to be when it comes out?
$5.
And are you going to be going for any kind of microtransactions or in-game purchases?
Just $5.
Just
no
$5.
in-app purchases.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
Cool. Alright.
It's a hard dose of reality to realize that a mobile developer that seems to be doing everything right can still have so much trouble. Not just with figuring out a snappy control scheme, but also becoming marketable on the mobile marketplace. Wayward Souls used to be called Wayward Saga until King began to threaten trademarking that term. But nevertheless, a game like this is having trouble competing against games like Flappy Bird.
And March 2014?
No. My sign says March, but it's most likely going to be mid-April because of the Flappy Bird situation.
What's that?
The Flappy Bird situation is that you can get a template for a Flappy Bird for $15 and make a game for $15 just instantly, change the art a little bit maybe, submit it to the App Store, and a lot of people are doing that, and it's flooding the review process. So it's making, like, when you submit your game to Apple, it takes them 2 to 3 weeks to review it.
Wayward Souls is scheduled to release in mid-April, with the PC version following up the mobile version after launch. Once we're all finished up with Dark Souls 2 and are left wanting more, it might just be a really satisfying way to scratch that itch.
Oh, you didn't want that armor.
Literally, 5 seconds, opens the door.